Today we're going to talk about Dungeon Crawl Classics Dying Earth and the class Vat-thing. What is a Vat-thing? And how can I be one? Hey everybody, Jordan here. The PH is silent. This is more of my coverage of the Dungeon Crawl Classics Dying Earth campaign setting, and we're going to talk about being a Vat-thing. So within the worlds of Jack Vance, the Dying Earth, there are powerful magicians that have learned how to create life, and they mold and kind of build these weird clone people in these giant vats. And when they come out, they're known as Vat-things. And it's a pretty interesting story if you want to read some of the short stories, but they turned that into a playable class, and we're going to look at it today, the Vat-thing. So here we are, we have some really great art. I think the wizard here, his Vat-thing is not looking good. The nose, it's got 3 eyes. And so that's the thing, is these wizards or magicians that are not necessarily good at this can come up with some really not good Vat-things, and you have these detriments in your life. And although this art amazing, I feel like this magician is a little he's not happy with his result of this Vat-thing. Vat-things, what are they? You are the imperfect mold of a master mathematician searching for the matrix that orders the patterns of existence, the exotic creation of a morose aesthetic whose flawless form glistens with a waxy pink skin, the pap-fed monstrosity whose beautiful vacant eyes disturb their creator's sleep at night. So Vat-things are these archmages wanting to create like life, whether that is a synthetic life or a real life. Does the soul exist? These are fun questions that you'll get to do. I mean, all of those Eberron Warforged questions will come back into existence with the Vat-things, so prepare yourself. So Vat-things have a D10 of hit points, which I really like. They are pattern-based life, so you can roll, but you could also choose from this. But they have an alignment that really dictates their training. And at first level, you also get a bonus die that you can use when taking actions relating to the originating pattern. And the bonus die advances with each level. So, well, let's get into it just a little bit more. So weapon training, you have a starting weapon. You also have your originating patterns determines the weapons that you're proficient in. And unlike other classes, this proficiency starts at 0 level, and a Vat-thing using other weapons is subject to the normal rules for untrained weapons. Vat-things can wear any armor, though like magicians, it affects your spellcasting. Magic. Many Vat-things are tutored in the basics of spellcraft and can learn and cast magic as magicians per the rules for rote magic memorization. So in Dungeon Crawl Classics, we have the wizard and the elf can also cast magic, but has a little bit more melee options. And that's a little bit what this feels like. Although the elf is more spellcasting, well, it kind of depends on what you roll, but I would say the elf is more spellcasting and less melee. The Vat-thing feels like more, well, again, it kind of depends on what you're going to play. So a little known rule in DCC that I don't think I have ever followed, or a lot of people haven't followed, is that if you're untrained in something, you roll a D10. And add your ability score modifier. So if you are not a thief and you're like, hey, I want to pick the lock, you sure can, but you roll a D10 rather than a D20, which a lot of times can really stop people from even wanting to try. But the cool thing about Vat-things is they're natural acquirers of skill and knowledge. And so you roll a D16 on any untrained skill, which is something that is subtle, but I really like. Instead of healing 1 hit point on a long rest, which is a rule that I have not followed when I play DCC, Vat-things heal 1 point per level. So if you're level 5, you're going to heal 5 hit points a night. And that includes like personality burn and unspell burn and other things like that. You're immune to non-magical disease and poison, which is really cool. You're no true life, no true death. So looking at our table here, our attack goes up significantly. We already start off with a +1 attack, which is really cool. Action die, and then memorize spells. You have less spells than a magician memorized. And you have a pattern die. And here's a cool piece of art of some magician pulling out their Vat-thing. This is kind of cool. You get the ability Invoke Creator, which is the magician that created you, the archmage that made you. They might almost be treated like a deity, and they're out there. They can come and protect you and help you, but it's like Invoke Patron on the DCC side, only you're invoking the person that literally made you. So in casting Invoke Creator, you must burn at least 1 point of personality, and you can choose any result at or below as if cast with a spell check result of 10 plus the caster level plus personality burned. So for example, a 3rd level Vat-thing spending 1 point of personality could choose any result equal to or below as if it had rolled a spell check of 14, which is kind of cool. So we have some generic Invoke Creator results, which are little things like you get a boon to your attack or things like that, or the creator sends a clone of an enemy designated by the Vat-thing that attacks the original. And so just kind of funny, interesting things like this. But I think there are specific ones that you can use. I want to go back to... All right, this was a little confusing because the Vat-thing starting traits do not appear on the Vat-thing's table. It's part of the level 0 process, which I understand now. But again, boy, I wish that these were organized a little different sometimes. It just doesn't seem to make sense in my brain. So when you are a Vat-thing, even at 0 level, you're going to roll on roll or choose, I guess. But this is going to choose the pattern of which you were created, and that could be a chaotic martial pattern. And so your weapon training is mace, flail, dart, battle hook. It could be the neutral paragon, which you have an axe or a bow or an arrow gun, and the lawful theologe, which will give you a rapier, a longsword, a sling, and a snaffle iron. So this really is the difference between kind of a fighter, a mix, and a mage is what it feels like. So martial, you're a fighter, a tactician, really good with weapons. You're there to lead armies for the wizard and things like that. So at 0 level, a Vat-thing created from the martial pattern, your strength and stamina will increase until the modifier increases. So you're going to take basically like a +2 or maybe a +3. So a 9 strength would increase to 13 to get you that 1, and an 18 stamina would increase to 20, because that's how it works. So in addition, starting at 1st level, a martial Vat-thing receives a bonus die that is used when making attacks. And so that bonus die is part of that. Paragon, you're a sculptor, a painter, a dancer. You live in the magician's household and you work art and do things like that. Your same thing, you're going to increase, but your agility and personality will increase. So a 9 agility will become a 13. In addition, starting at 1st level, a Paragon Vat-thing receives a bonus die that can be used when making skill checks, which is really cool. Then the Theologe, you are memory, a consular, a savant shaped by great sorcerer to be a living encyclopedist. So your intelligence goes up by a modifier. And in addition, starting at 1st level, you receive a bonus die that can be used when making spell checks, including when attempting to learn new spells, or when you re-roll an existing upon 1 level. So if you're unfamiliar with the warrior in Dungeon Crawl Classics has the deed die that kind of goes up. And so they don't have a general just plus attack, but they get this deed die that they add onto it. And that's kind of what this is. So the martial one gets like a little deed die that helps them with their attacks and stuff. But the Paragon gets it with skill checks, and the Theologe gets it with spell checks, which is really cool. But then you also get to determine flaws for your Vat-thing. So Vat-things will start with flaws. You get a roll on this, and these can really help define why your Vat-thing is the way they are. So I don't know, let's look at a couple of them. The PC suffers from a compelling indigestion. That could just be something that you play with, or the judge can use it in an interesting way. But 0, you're perfect. You have no defect. You're awesome. All the way, if we go a little higher, you have glassy skin and you suffer double damage from fire. Or what's a really bad one? You have a hatred for all beauty. When first encountering a person, you have to make a will save versus a DC of the person's personality or be consumed by hatred for them. And again, this is something that the judge can play with, but you, the player, can also play with this, and it's straight out of Jack Vance's novels, which is the cool part. And that's Vat-things. They're kind of more straightforward than the Magicians because they're not nearly as complicated, but you're going to get a limited number of spells. You learn them just like Magicians. And then you have that pattern die that you get to use. If you're martial, you get to use it for your attacks, if you're the other one, you get it for spell or regular checks. And I'm assuming that also is included on the D16 unskilled checks, which I really like. So if you want to try and lockpick something, you can roll your D16 plus your D3 and maybe your agility, and then we'll see how well you do. And so that's really fun. I would love to play a Vat-thing. I think it's really cool. Kind of an unfortunate name for these. I wish they had a more magical sounding thing, but they are just the creatures that were born from vats. And there you go. So what do you think, ladies and gentlemen? Would you play a Vat-thing? Would you be interested in the Marshal or the Paragon or the Theologe? I'd be curious what you guys want to play if you're interested in that. Do you like the pattern die of this, or is this kind of, why not just play a fighter? I don't know. I'd like to know. I think it's kind of cool. I think playing a spellcaster Vat-thing could be a fun route, especially with the invoke creator that you get to come assist you at certain times of the day. Could be a lot of fun. So I don't know, check it out. If you're new here, I do a lot of videos on alternative RPGs, basically anything not D&D, so you can check it out there. We've got a whole playlist on Dungeon Crawl Classics, and Dungeon Crawl Classics Dying Earth is the latest campaign setting as of filming this that has come out for DCC, and it's got a lot of fun new stuff and mechanics, so we're going to go through a whole bunch more. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you in the next video.